and welcome to yet another episode of the Mental Health Morsels. I know someone who's immensely self assured. She does not need any validation for her feelings and decisions from anyone. That does actually make me envy her. I think the whole mental health movement and the well being movement is moving towards making people's psyche move towards this mindset of self assurance. If that was the case, I'm sure this friend of mine would be the mascot for this movement for sure. She's like this perfect person to make lemonade if life throws lemons at her. Let me say that again. Yet another time, I do envy her for this. And of course, in a positive spirit. Not that she has never had setbacks or she has actually had her share of suffering and challenges, but one skill that she possesses is of absolute simple resilience. She falls, but she rises. And even greater skill of hers, like I said, that she's extremely self assured. She believes in herself more than anyone else, or rather, she does not need any well being coach to tell her or encourage her to believe in herself. She is very objective in her analysis of her own strengths and weaknesses. And I think she's very metacognitive about it, if I can coin that word. Metacognition, we know, is thinking about one's own thinking. I think she does that very wisely, and that is what makes her very mindful. I'm sure, like me, you are by now envying her, huh? We all want to be self assured. It is certainly a positive attribute to have. Some are probably temperamentally like that, like they're just born with a lot of self assurance. But trust me, it is certainly a skill that each one of us and everyone and anyone can acquire if we decide to and we practice enough for that. Okay, now let's help each other through this. Let's first keep our ego at bay and very objectively let us rate ourselves on a scale from 1 to 5 and see how much belief we do have in ourselves. So 1 is not so high and 5 is very high self-belief. If you are on the higher side, that you move towards 5, that's really nice. So my next question to those people is, can you sustain being there during or after adverse circumstances? If you still say yes, I'm assuming you are being objectively true, and kudos to your self-belief. Stay there. For those of us who found them slightly lower on the rating scale, which means there is a cloud of self-belief pouring acidic rain over your heads on and off, and we tend to oscillate between self-doubt and self-assurance and belief, possibly this must be happening with us. So what happens is, in most of our life circumstances when we are under self-doubt, if not always, you're never sure of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're acting. You always keep thinking, is it the right thing to do? You ask others, am I thinking okay? Am I looking okay? Am I talking okay? If at all you took a decision, you're asking everyone, did I make a right decision? Or you just simply ask someone else to decide for you because you are so much under the fear of being judged or making a mistake or going wrong. You quickly feel so guilty about being wrong also. You are in a state of restlessness and unease many times, especially when it takes, when it is about making a stand, or you're struggling to receive validation from others for you to go ahead. It is always reassuring, many times required. It's something that you really need, and everyone needs it because it does build bonds between people also. But let us make sure that we do not become emotionally so dependent on others for every little thing, because people around us will start to feel very burdened beyond the point, and we are not developing a skill as a person in this bargain. So now what can we do? Now that we have identified that we do oscillate between sometimes having self-doubt and sometimes being very self-assured, we really want to get better at believing in oneself, and more than doubting it, at more life junctures, here are some little things we can do. Firstly, please do not blame yourself and begin feeling guilty about doubting yourself. Lot of times, the way our childhood was, the kind of parenting we received, what our teachers said to us, what our friends and peers said to us when we were little and were growing up, it goes a long way in determining how much self belief we have as adults. So, there have been and there will always be factors which are beyond our control that make us the way we are and also how self assured we are. Regardless of all that, let us have a fresh start. It is never too late to decide to change the way your mind works for your own good. Secondly, let's identify if there are certain circumstances at home or at work, or is it around certain people where you go weak in your knees. Remember, there will always be people who have an innate ability, sometimes I believe, to make you doubt yourself. Are you surrounded by too many people like these? Maybe it's time to reassess the situation. You cannot control them. That's something we have to accept. But you can hear them out, but choose to remain determined not to let their comments and their stance ruffle you. Keep telling yourself that all they are saying may not be true and that you don't have to accept everything and anything that they say. You have to tell yourself that I want to be and I can be objective in my assessment of the situation. Go analyze the situation and ask certain questions to yourself. What is this situation exactly? What is this situation demanding from me in terms of my actions and my decision? Weigh your perspectives in terms of pros and cons and then take a decision. Say if that decision is A, what are the consequences? If the decision is B, what are the consequences? In either cases, how well am I going to be able to handle those circumstances? Have a backup decision in case there is a damage to control it. In short, just plan a strategy mindfully. Now, this may seem very daunting, okay? But walk this process. Possibly if you do feel you have a very genuinely helping person, a wise person around you, they can be your confidant. But if you think you're alone, don't worry. It is quite possible to do it alone as well. A journey towards self-belief and self-assurance is a tough one, but an immensely satisfying one. And remember, we cannot be perfect at this. Not you, not me, not anyone. And we need not be. We are imperfect human beings with complete full of possibilities. And I think it is okay to doubt yourself occasionally. It's even essential at times. Only if the self-doubt starts to become a hurdle in how you function at home, at work, with your friends, with your colleagues, then something needs to be done. Now, it's a long story I've told you. What I've done for your ease is, in 4 to 5 rhythmic lines, I'm going to summarize all that I have said. Okay? Self-doubt to self-belief is a journey of sorts. Not your fault, so no need to halt. Pause, analyze, think, strategize, and be objective. Most importantly, do not fear. Your next checkpoint of self-assurance is very near. While I'm holding being self-assured in positive light, I don't know, when I was just preparing for, talking to y'all, I also thought sometimes that it actually may have certain downfall. Like being self-assured all the time, is it draining? I don't know. Maybe let's explore this at some other time. But for now, do watch this video again and make your points. Remember, doubting is natural. And I've made this poem just for you. Go over these lines that I put in a rhythm for you. Pin it somewhere if that's going to be a good reminder to you. So rehearse and act, and my best wishes to you. Don't forget to put in the comments with your experiences. Thank you for watching.